I was playing the wizard class just to kind of test out the wider range and versatility of this game's combat and I guess character design. It's fairly impressive, you know, and I was talking crap last time because I was mad at that quest. I just really don't hope to see any more of that, but I know I will. I know that I will. And that's the thing about this kind of games, is like, when you play MMOs, one thing you have to realize is that the scale, the scope of the game, kind of have to coincide. And it's a tough balance to achieve. How big do we make this without making it too empty? We don't want to add a whole bunch of BS. Most people think add the BS. I'm not saying it's acceptable. I'm just saying it's to be expected. And that's not a good thing. But there are good points about this game. The art is just spectacular. Say what you want about like poly counts and fidelity levels and stuff, but let's say this is texture painted, right? Somebody's got a very good hand. Let's say it's not texture painted. The textures of the armor come out clearly. I know it's metal, I know it's leather, I know it's wooden, and even the different types of metal show. That amount of information should be considered in graphical critique. And people who are saying the graphics are or not good or whatever, the same people that said Terra's graphics are great. And Terra's graphics are made on Unreal Engine 3. Now, style, there's much to be said about that. And then character creation, there's a lot that goes into that too. The base character's body type is kind of like, I don't know, it's not heroic. Like, I spent a decent amount of time editing my character, and I did that on all games, even Dark Souls. I'll make my character look good on Dark Souls. IDAGF. I don't know. I'm trying to guess. But my point is the frame of the character. Like if I made his legs too long, it would look weird. If I made him too short, it would look weird. Why would it look weird? Because he's wearing pants, and if I don't show off those pants because the torso is too long and it's covering up most of the time, then it might look like he's wearing a dress, and some characters don't like that. And some characters might not fit. The Crusader, however, usually wears some sort of long sort of garment, so that's gonna happen anyway. His legs gonna get covered. But the ratios of the character in design also lend to complementing or, you know, countering an effect of an armor piece. His character's frame, again, is very heroic. His shoulders are very widespread. His gait is tall, even if his stature isn't. I take a screenshot or picture somewhere, he's gonna look 6 feet tall. And then I stand next to somebody else, she's like 5 foot nothing. You know what I mean? Like, the mount on all fours is a good 5'10". This dude is probably an even 6 feet. You know what I'm saying? Like, but and then look at his frame too. His feet are super small, but he's probably not gonna wear boots, you know. And then you want to see his claws, but the small feet, kind of like, what they say to me is that this creature, especially on a bigger creature, can't move that fast. Now, if it's bigger feet on a smaller creature, like a rabbit, then it indicates that they move very fast. It also indicates that creature's level of strength within their lower body and level of blood flow. Your feet only get as big as they can, and by that I mean like your blood is pumped by your heart. You know, people who have stronger hearts are usually taller. And why do I say that? Why do I just make that generalization? Well, this is me as an artist speaking and making up characters in my head, but my game theory is that your blood, you know, pumping that further distance is being pumped by a stronger heart. And bigger people are usually stronger too, so let's just put 2 and 2 together and say they have a bigger heart and not just bigger legs. But that being said, you know, proportions and stuff. Like, his proportions are very good, except for his head. It's maybe like a tad too big, making the rest of his body and stature look a little smaller in comparison, and his feet a tad too small. Again, making the taper up from his waist down to his feet. It's too quick. But on the flip side, a design choice, if consistent, which so far it is, can have its charm. And it's not necessarily me critiquing the feet, because look at her feet. Her feet are proportionate. Everything on this character is proportionate. You know who else is a very good proportionate character? The female orc on World of Warcraft. Everything is like on a 3-3 scale, Fibonacci. The head might be a little too small. I mean, just a little bit. But I try to make proportions of my characters according to certain ratios that's pleasing in my eye. I think if a lot of you spend more time on character creation, you find that you're a lot more creative than you lend yourself the energy to be. You pick up a piece of paper. I used to do this in class all the time. I used to be drawing something, like on a test or just like on my notes or something. Hey, it's really good. I didn't know you draw. You're very talented. Blase, blase. Yeah, you should try it too. Okay, I'm gonna try to draw something. And they draw some little cute ass picture, especially if like it's a little girl or something. And it's some little cute ass picture, and they look like some clip art stuff. And I find that super dope. Like, I find like the vast majority of the populace's art to be very beautiful in its own way. And I mean that. Like, and I'm very critical of my own art. And my close friends know that. My family knows that. And that's served me very well. In the past, present, and future, it will. Because you never want to stop growing. But you also don't want to, you know, be your own worst enemy. Critique yourself, but also seek outward critique. Because somebody else is going to tell you the truth. They're going to say, hey, this is good, but listen, your bodily proportions are out of whack. You fix that up, and it's going to bring the whole painting together. The synergy of your shapes. For example, I want to take a picture next to this foot to kind of exemplify the, I guess, motif of man and civilization and where I come from. Pose right here, him in the middle, or maybe him off to the side, maybe in a way that flatters the picture more. He's always going to be in the center of the frame because of the way the camera is set up for this game. But I want to catch the sky because there's not much on the ground that I'm missing out on by doing this. Right? So now I also want to catch as many background elements as I can that are important. Those rock faces are not as important as that building right there. And then that foot is more important than that wagon. Depends. If you want to show that he's leaving town, then you wouldn't even put the foot there. You put that foot there, maybe. And you see how the angle of the road and everything indicates the movement? And then also these characters running around in the background indicating movement. But if I turn the angle this way, we're going to start seeing more characters run towards this way. We're going to start seeing... And why are we going to see that? It's because of what the camera is picking up on first and last. And I know that doesn't make very much sense since we can see the trail and like as I'm saying that, somebody's coming through there. But you see how also as I'm saying that, somebody popped right in front of the frame? Now the movement, again, looks inverse because they're going that way. And if I turn the character facing this way, even more so, he looks like he's going to town. These are just design choices that you make while you tell yourself a story. And then you let that be a secret. This is the thing about being an artist. You're an a-hole. Squidward is the greatest artist in the world because he's the worst. But all the art that he produces, that's just amazing. It's in his highest state, quite literally. And then, kaboom, comes crashing down. As I would be. Something? But you have to find the gray area, the balance. You can't get too greedy. You have to learn to work within a healthy workflow and synergy, and you have to take care of yourself. You have to be serious about being an artist. It's not athletic per se, but if you take care of yourself like an athlete does, you will be an excellent artist. Because you have the energy to do some freaking push-ups. You can sit down and draw for 30 minutes. That's all you need when you're efficient. if you're just trying to make money. If I'm gonna be perfectly honest. Now 30 minutes a day, you're not gonna make a lot of money doing that, but 30 minutes a day, you're gonna get projects, you know, done, or at least progress made on projects, and those projects are gonna be small, sure, but $20 here, $50 there, it starts to add up, and towards the end of the week, you got 1,000. Because you've just been working on it all day. And then you're playing games, sitting here taking screenshots, you know, drawing over the screenshots. This is your art. You don't want to copy anybody's stuff, but if you completely paint over it, then you really only use the art that you created and the money that you paid on PSN or Bless Online or whatever, and the time that you spent creating this character and this body frame, because the original skeleton did not start out with the proper morph that you wanted. That's artwork. Take a screenshot, filter it a little bit, and draw over it. And make sure it doesn't look like Bless Unleashed. Don't use any of the textures and stuff. Use the silhouettes. And then create more of a silhouette out of it. To the point where the developer wouldn't even be able to tell. You created your own artwork then, because you may as well be staring at it and drawing it, which is what I do anyway, but you know, I don't get any complaints because, again, I don't plagiarize. There's a lot of paraphrasing you can do between start to finish to make the original unrecognizable from the finished product. For example, I take a screenshot. I flip this horizontal. Now he's standing this way, the mountain's on this side, and there's different... the same characters are doing different things. Now I take this guy, and say he's shooting an ice beam. I can take the color of that arcane bolt and apply it to the ice beam, and take the color of the ice beam and apply it to the arcane bolt. Take his jacket, flip him inverse, and then maybe add these straps on the back and on the front, make it a different open cut. Now he's wearing a completely different jacket. This guy doesn't even need to be here. He's completely clashing with all the colors in the scene, and it serves no purpose. So is my character, but he's the main focus. This beggar, he could or could not be included in the scene, but that's kind of up to him. If he's posing the right way, when I take the screenshot, whatever, then, you know, see, that's what I'm talking about. Bam. That's probably better that he's not there. So I can just kind of like color him out and have dude standing up there and he looks like he's part of my squad. And then him, I could have him grayscaled out and look like he's just wearing all steel armor. And now, let's talk about the environment. If I cover this all in snow, don't even put the bridge in the scene, and just make this rock face the entire backdrop, we're in a totally different place. We could be in Skyrim for all you know. For all you care, we are. We're trying to please the naked eye. They're going to walk up to that painting, see snow, think Skyrim, and then they're going to start to see elements of Skyrim that remind them of Skyrim, and they're going to immediately feel a warmthness about it. In the cold. But that is the power that you possess as an artist. Exuberate art in every aspect of your lifestyle. Say that again. Exuberate art in every aspect of your lifestyle. If you do push-ups, do it artistically. That is, again, with proper technique, because we as artists have a proper technique for everything. But with art, especially the visual arts in particular, it is sold to the individual. That's why I think art school is both a blessing and a scam. To have someone there guiding you in every process and every step of the way is so comforting. And having them tell you, yes, you're doing it right, it's so assuring. But it serves only to make you a copy of them, especially if you're not actually trying to become an artist. You're just trying to make art. And it's not anything you're doing implicitly or explicitly. You're unaware that that's not what you're trying to do. Because you're not being introduced to it in a way. They're taking your money and they're teaching you how to draw. Watch cartoons today. You'll be offended by what I just said. But I'm sorry. And these are amazing artists because they have a wonderful story to tell. But the drawing does not serve to tell that story any better. At least not to me. Pendleton Ward started somewhat of a trend. J.G. Quintel had his own thing going. And since then, they've had offshoots and spin-offs that reflect that brand. and that pen, and we know who they are. But Steven Universe, Craig the Creek, low-key OKKO. To me, it feels like those artists shared a studio at some point in their development and decided that that style of cartoonism was pleasing to the eye. And I would have to agree with them. But I would also agree that the glaring similarities take away from their overarching story somewhat. And it's just because I can say that. I don't want to have to be able to say that, but if they pulled a Pendleton Ward where this dude just do dots for eyes, like, I don't know, the way that Adventure Time came across to me in the very beginning, it was a true boy story. It's just like me in the 6th grade, just thinking about video games and my dog when I get home and running around in the back, and the stuff that the girls in my class wasn't doing because, you know, there's gender dynamics at the time being pushed pretty heavy. I mean, he's an older dude too, so part of me harkened back to that, and it reflected in his art style as well. Now, the shift that happened when Rebecca Shirkate took over was also pretty apparent too, because it was this coming of age sort of, I don't want to say, I guess, romantic maturity about Finn that started to take the forefront of his character development. And in all honesty, she did a decent job with how he handled, you know, heartbreak and all that stuff. Finn never took it out on women he's dealing with. Because at the end of the day, he could go back to his treehouse and chill out with Jake and B-Bone. He was cool and, like, you know, Adventure Time. It's still Adventure Time, and every aspect of his life is an adventure. He had no one to teach him to be angry. Finn knew right and wrong from the beginning because he knew how he wanted to be treated. He was left in his own mud, and people wouldn't touch him because he had boo-boo on his bum. But he was adopted by a family who wiped it off, and from then on was eternally grateful. For what? Compassion. The existence of compassion. He's a baby. He could have died out there. Why? Because he's the only freaking human. Nobody knew what that was. For all he was evil magic man. For all he could have been. Nah, dude. But all that reflected in the art style. What do I mean by that? The animation, his movement, his breathing when he's stressed. It's hilarious. The way that Jake kind of just nonchalantly slides across the frame and moves like nothing else in the show. But everything else in the show, you know, it's totally coherent how Jake is. That's why you don't really notice it, but his frames are a little different. Why? Because he's stretching and bending and holding and releasing. He's doing all kinds of things. There's a trail behind Jake that's left sometimes, like when he's swirling after he stretches his body and leaves his legs behind. Speaks very well to his anatomy, especially when him and Finn were fighting each other. Why Finn was able to hit certain parts of his body and Jake couldn't feel it until, like, you know, a few seconds later. But those are minor details that are taken into account when creating the art. Now, if everybody's drawing the same, that's a minor detail that's removed. That also removes the subtle nuance of a thought that comes when you look at your character's face, and they're making a face that you created, not a face that your teacher created. And I don't want to go as deep to say that they're just copying the teacher. That's insulting, and I will apologize for that, but, like, I could tell that they had a teacher. And, like, me being self-taught, like, I have many flaws, and I study these artists because they're in a position that I want to be in. You know, they're successful artists. I can only talk about the way they draw because I really don't have any outside influence besides, you know, like, the outside influence that everybody gets, but nobody telling me how to create the curvature of a smile and how to draw in teeth and a roll so that it's cohesive to the greater structure of the face and that everything is equaled out and it doesn't look strange. Phineas and Ferb look, you know, Picasso painting, but everything is within equilibrium, so they're not too hard to look at. The oblongs are supposed to be ugly. You know, like, but again, that brings me to the point of consistent, subtle nuance. His feet are kind of big, though. You see, that's what I'm talking about. But it doesn't have to be within every character, too. There's consistency in randomization. If we randomize groups, we get groups of big-footed cats. Let's say that the lighter main cats have bigger feet, and the darker main cats have smaller feet. That could be a subtle nuance in the character creation that I didn't even notice, and I can grow to appreciate now that if I go back and research and be true. And it doesn't even have to be true. It could just be something that, by coincidence, all the players and NPCs were doing. I can appreciate that about the world internally until it changes, because you guys heard me say it. I jinxed myself. Kind of goes hand in hand with the charm and splendor of playing classic WoW. The nostalgia factor isn't the only thing. It was the sense of adventure that you got from just being an ignorant kid running around an open world with anything being possible. Anything being possible, but only a handful of things actually being probable. But you're not knowing that because you don't have Atlas Loot. You know, so like, you see somebody running around in Wrath of the Lich King quest gear and you think this guy's the strongest dude in the game because it matches. And it's green. And it has spikes on it. And, you know, dude has 10,000 health. Not realizing that this guy bought all his armor on the auction house and has no gold and is running around with this gear that is way too weak. That he probably could have just spent all the time that he spent searching for it, crafting it, and making better pieces that he could also enhance. And then all the money that he spent on buying the gear, he could spend on enchanting it, and be better off than someone who was getting quest gear before he even hits any quests. That's how you play the game. But we didn't know that, man. We was just kids. I spent a lot of time just staring at the auction house, control clicking stuff, and looking at what the game had to offer, and studying the art styles and drawing what I saw on the screen and stuff. And you know what? I had a blast. But when it was time to play, I wasn't no slouch. Yeah, Thunder Chunky was that name. I was dual wheel Fury Spec Warrior and a World of Arms Warriors doing top DPS. You know, besides the hunting. I was getting compliments. I wasn't raiding or doing nothing super special, but I also wasn't getting beat up and strangled for and fail. That was perfect with that. But just to say, I didn't get lucky. Actually, I'm pretty sure I did quite a few times. Not on the paladin though. The light remains untouched.
Can I help you?
Undefeated.
I've got some good stuff here.
Yeah. Life is something else. Take a moment to look around and enjoy it. This is what I'm talking about, though. What I can really take from this game is the beauty of its design. This looks like a city where people live. And let's say we look at the map, right? And it's all just one road or one circle. It's really not, though. It's not that big, but it looks 10 times bigger than it actually is. Just because you can't see the horizon. Understanding. Now, if I zoom out more, I'd probably be able to see a lot more. But the arrangements of the buildings and everything too, and all that, I mean, it just looks organic. I guess artificial is the proper term in this case. But organisms made this, and not an algorithm. Now look at this mansion. This huge, what did you call this? A courtyard? I really should study up on my turn. I got a full notebook of this in this class that I didn't take in college. Flying buttresses and even the guards match somewhat. I get it, it's red. Sometimes your texture palette just don't get enough colors. But I mean, like, that leather armor matches better. I'm not gonna argue. This looks great. You know what other game had really great design? Arca Age. And that guy's robes.
Is everything all right?
They can't hide forever. What do I come here for? That chest. Where is it? It's actually outside. I need to use my other controller. This one has a broken left control stick. It's the one with the scratched off back. I'll have to remember that.
State your business.
Would you like to see what I have in stock?
I'm tweaking. I'm sitting here looking at this controller, and I was gonna move because I had two controls next to me, and they didn't move, so I tried to turn it on. I've been waiting for these faceless slugs this entire time. I'm gonna go find a cliff so I can jump off and reset this. Or maybe this will work. Haha! Karachi! Leave a hedgehog. No, I think the return to tabletop games is just what we need. A live stream tabletop game, I'm with it. It's gonna happen on this channel. I'm gonna create the entire world for it and everything. If you with it too, you stay tuned. You know, you don't gotta follow, like, and subscribe or anything. I mean, I can I'm really not super interested on YouTube, but I'm having a good time just recording myself on this channel. A lot of clips I have on there, they don't have any voice, but you can see me on 2K, getting bodied at first. I'm on the Lakers now. I don't think they like me enough to go to practice, but I'm scoring more points and stuff. I gotta pass the ball to LeBron more. But no, the deeper connections that we make in game, it's more than just like forcing yourself to run up on somebody and say, hey, let's be friends. You know, like, you can do that and find a commonality, but what if this person like eats batteries? You know, like, now you don't want to be friends with them and you gotta blacklist them and hide from them forever. And then they see you in a dungeon one day and it's super off.
Is everything alright?
No, the mutual experience is created when you're forced to interact by the game and not by any obligation to progress to the game faster because you feel like you're gonna get left behind. I didn't even know World of Warcraft had a max level when I started playing. I thought you just kept going. So I had no intention of getting to level 60. I saw a character on level 60. I saw a bunch of characters on level 60. So I thought, dang, it must take a long time to get to level 61. I mean, because RuneScape was up to 99. So I was a little disappointed to find out that it didn't go to 99. My character just automatically felt weaker. You know, it was the quarter pounder versus the third pounder. But it's still like the range of motion and everything. It changed the game, and I was just having fun, just running around, not having to click all over the place. Hey, don't get me wrong, RuneScape was open in the next tab, but we were getting it done on World of Warcraft too. Yes, sir. Level 7. Night Elf Warrior. That's when I finished the first trial I got. And I bought the game for $20. I remember I bought it at Walmart. Or was it at GameStop? Put the game disc in the Packard Bell. Download the game. It took like 6 hours. Game finally did. Downloads. My mom walks in. Uh-oh, that's that devil music. You gotta turn that off. Mom, no, just no. I spent $20 on this. Just let me watch the intro, please, and then I'll turn it off. 4 years have passed since the blah blah blah. I get on, and there's a login screen. I'm like, what the heck is this? So, I mean, I know what's going on. I've played Roller Coaster Tycoon before. I'm looking for the key code, and that's when I find the 7-day key code. And you know, get to reading and researching. And inside the box, come to find out that it's a subscription-based game. First I've ever encountered. Not technically, because I did play Phantasy Star Online, but not on the Dreamcast, on the GameCube. And I was aware that there were people playing online, but I didn't know that they were paying a subscription, and I wasn't really aware of the magic that was happening. How can she jump? Hold on. Is there a jump button? Oh, haha. This whole time I wasn't jumping. Okay, so I was devastated. I literally cried. I think I was in the 5th grade. And my mom, you know, she felt for me, but it wasn't nothing to do. Internet didn't work like that back then. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I was stuck like Chuck until the Burning Crusade came out. You know, and not necessarily. There were a few times in between where I actually did get to play. And, I would get 7-day trials, and my friends were playing, and they would give me a 7-day trial. And, I would just keep making new characters. So I got a chance to test out a lot of different characters, even though I kind of fell in love with the melee characters. I eventually settled on Paladin because, man, the Holy Crusade. Y'all don't understand. Paladin was the first hero class. And Shaman. But I didn't play Horde. I played, Undead and Orc Warrior later on, but I was a Human Paladin. I think I actually did make an Orc Warrior because I played Orcs in Warcraft 2, but I settled on Night Elf Warrior, got him up to level 7, and then thought, let me try the Human. The Human leveling zone, Elwyn Forest, is the greatest leveling zone in any MMO existing today. Especially classic Elwyn Forest, because of the time and all that stuff, and the level of knowledge that people had and all that stuff. Everything was still like right there, and anybody who played in classic knows exactly what I mean by that, because you didn't have quest markers. You had to read and find out which was north, south, east, and west, and where the F to go. And even then, you would still get lost. But cartography is a thing. Look that word up. But that zone is a forest, and immediately, in contrast to a desert canyon, the forest is full of abundance and resources and enemies, you know, and experience overall. And what we get from that is a greater experience overall. So when we play through Elwyn Forest, level 1 to 10 is very streamlined, and it's not even intended to be. And when I say streamlined, I mean from level 1 to 10 in general, not necessarily from the quest in Northshire Abbey to your first quest in Westfall, or should I say Westbrook Garrison. You're like level 11 when you fight Hogger, especially if you are actually
Please have a look at my wares.
But it's easier to find ore nodes and herbs and all that other stuff because most people, especially if you live in America, are familiar with a forest setting. So you're gonna naturally just know your way around a forest. Now a desert canyon is gonna feel a lot more open, a lot more expansive, and a lot more scarce, even though there's probably more ore nodes in Durotar than the entirety of the rest of the game. Maybe Kunlai Summit has a lot of ore nodes, especially like in terms of density, but you don't get that. You immediately get the feeling of scarcity, and you know, thinking back on it, that really doesn't make any sense with the orcs being an invading army, invading Loran, and ending up in the freaking desert. But that's from an ignorant player's perspective. You know that there are several orc clans that exist within and throughout Azeroth now. I think all of them living within pretty desolate.
Take your time. Have a look around.
Situations. But that's the orc life. They don't care. They said, shoot, this is better than being a fell slave. And a deeper immersion kind of made me want to bring pride to my orc clan and all that other stuff when I was playing Thumb Chunky. So I was like, yeah, my family dual wields. That's how we gonna do it. And to prove my point, I would have people telling me this, that, your build sucks. Duel me, punk.
Can I help you?
And they would lose. utterly and completely. Not because I was doing more damage than them, but because I was damaging more than they were damaging me. What does that mean? I was circle strafing, I was using my trinkets, I was interrupting and stunning when it was necessary. Certain things that a lot of players didn't know how to do. Why? Because I sat there and read the tooltip. Because wasn't nobody gonna hold my hand and tell me. A lot of the game I had to play solo dolo. Didn't have a mic, and I was a little kid. And I don't know if people too friendly to you. For more reasons than one. But most people didn't even get that impression of me. Even meeting me in person. Because I just held my tongue. I wouldn't call myself the most mature person. I just knew when to speak up and when to shut up. Most older people respect that because they take it as a sign of respect. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm also not saying you necessarily should. Like at face value.
The most mysterious fate.
A quiet mouth is a mouth that speaks the unknown in his mind. The things that people say about you in their head. But joining raid groups and stuff, hearing these older guys talk and cuss and teach you about the game kind of like offhand. Especially when they find out, oh yeah, you're just 12, you're 11 years old, and you're doing like, what is it, a decent 883 DPS, and that's low. You want to be doing closer to 1,000, but at my peak, when they, started giving me hints and stuff, I started getting closer to it, and then they gave me a few pieces of gear. They didn't let me roll in any drops. I actually came to the raid telling them, hey, I just want to get the raid experience, because I found out about raiding. I had actually ran into Molten Core running through Blackrock. I was like, what is this place? Fought a guy off trying to kill me. He had like half health left, so I was able to defend myself. And I ran up to the dungeon. Found out that, there was a group running in there. Ran through the dungeon. Raid inside the dungeon. To this day, the coolest thing I've ever seen in a design project. It keeps going. That added so much depth, quite literally, to this world. How could I look away? No, Black Rock does not get the credit that it deserves as a zone. Like, look at Black Rock Mountain. That is a stronghold filled with a whole bunch of things you can't kill by yourself. But if you could take over it and be king of that mug. The whole guild just clearing out raids and mobs, standing patrol, setting up shop and trading there, black market stuff. That's immersion. I don't know how to min-max my way out of this. That's improvising to make the game run in your favor. That's telling your character that he has an identity and it's his job to live up to it, and it's your job to make sure that he has the best ability and resources to do that. Not min-maxing. I need more strength. Strength makes me hit harder. Oh, I just found out that crit makes me hit twice as hard. Well, then I only need this much strength. Slowly but surely, I find out that there's more to the game than strength and crit. Haste makes you crit more. Instead of critting harder, critting more will be more beneficial. Those cases are taken on by your character, and not by a YouTube guide or a common way of dealing with the game. LFR was created for everybody. Especially the people who say they don't like LFR. Because the reason you don't like LFR is because you yourself pushed all those people to LFR. And LFR is a crutch that a lot of you just should have more pride in yourself not to rely on. And I mean that because you are great gamers. You just don't give yourself a chance to be great. You can't be great at every game, especially not right off the bat. A lot of you that did not play games growing up, and you want to perp and act like you did. Mario, honestly, if you wasn't speed running it, you wasn't even playing Mario. The goal is to be running that fast, you know, platformers. What's the point of just like slowly hopping through it? You know the level by now. That's what Sonic kind of exemplified for all platformers. Hurry up and finish. That makes it fun. Because now you have a margin for error that you can defeat. You absolutely can defeat. That's the point. Defeat that margin for error to the point where it doesn't become a margin for error anymore. To a point where a mistake becomes laughable. I was not supposed to fall there. I'm gonna do some bootleg phone recording to me playing Sonic Adventures. See what I'm talking about, but there's ingrained. I probably have visible developed muscle specifically for playing that game. But I can immerse myself in that game because when I was a kid, I wanted to be Shadow the Hedgehog. It made me run faster and everything. I like practice. It's like healthy aspects of it. I didn't think I was a hedgehog. I just wanted to be fast and use chaos spears and chaos control. I can do that, right? But immersion, it served to also improve my gameplay experience and ability. See how I'm walking like that when I try to press a button? It's my broken controller. Immersion made me focus more on what I was doing. There was a time where I was running arenas with my brother, and we were maybe like 1300 rating at the most when we finished. We didn't really push, but we were winning a lot of games, and we got our rating so fast. We were getting serious about it. We may have gotten pretty high ranked, and we may have learned a lot more about the game. I was having fun with brother. We're all getting gear, conquest gear. I probably had like my weapon, because you get the weapon first when you play Warrior, and my shoulders, because the shoulders look really cool. The guy I was fighting got carried to Gladiator, so he had a full set of gear. The guy who's healing him, who's running with at least, was running. My brother is one of those people who's very logically in tune with the number aspect of the games, even though he doesn't realize it. That's what he's doing. He's calculating in real time. Like, he likes Smash Bros. Because he can control it very well, and the origin of that is high-speed calculation that led to breaking the boundaries of the game's original intended mechanics. Wave dashing. Not supposed to do that, but it doesn't break the game. It doesn't. What breaks the game is a blue screen. That's, you know, it's clearly defined breaking the game. Now, breaking mechanics, you know, breaking the boundaries of mechanics, breaking the balance of the game. We're gonna be more specific so that we can actually solve the problem. That's what that did. There's a lot of characters that were not aware of the ability to wave dash. And when they found out about it, they found out the hard way. And, you know, it was like the first time Gon was exposed to Nen. Throw up. You know, but you either back down or you step up. You know, and you had characters like, or players like, YouTube King, who I think is a hero amongst the gaming community. Because he took the quote-unquote statistically worst character and to the finals and became a champion with him. If you can't be inspired by YouTube King, you need to stop playing games. You know what I'm saying? But then you also have, what was his name? The guy who played Captain Falcon on 64. I think he was the greatest Smash player of all time. You gotta really look at his story. I really should remember his name. He put his heart and soul into enjoying the game, not winning. He wanted to beat Captain Falcon. He wanted to whoop your ass with Captain Falcon. Pod! He was gonna get it every single time because that's what he wanted to do. He wasn't worried about winning. You could get 3 stocks on him. As long as he got a Falcon Punch on you, he was cool, and you was embarrassed. I got my win though. Yeah, you had to say that because I Falcon Punched your ass. Yeah, we saw you win, but everybody's still geeking off that Falcon Punch because it was good too. I'm gonna remember his name before the stream ends. Can the rest of the game hear me? Oh, only when I walk through the pipe. But no, that inspired me to not get good at games, but to enjoy every game that I'm playing. Which is why I don't really play games that I don't enjoy. And that doesn't mean I'm incapable of enjoying 2K or the Call of Duty. As you see, those games are on my screen. If I don't feel like playing it right now, I'm not immersed. That's not the attitude that I have. I don't want to be putting out Fortnite. To be honest, all the building and stuff, you know, during shooting, it's too much for me to process at one time. At least right now, you know, like, and I'm still trying to get through Bloodborne. Dark Souls is easy to me right now, but Bloodborne is a mystery. I'll play that later on if I can. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's a foreign concept. It's just too fast, and I don't. It's the blunderbuss, I think, that's throwing me off. But again, the time you spend in the game, I think I could really become a G at that game, because I'm pretty cold at Dark Souls. That game is a tad too slow, and I play it like I should be playing Bloodborne. Ironically, that's what I've been told by everybody who plays Dark Souls with me. When you play this like Bloodborne, why is your build so fast? Yeah, dex builds are fun, but I also like messing around with all of the other stats, and you get the most out of that through immersion. You can play a faith build, sure, just pick all of the best faith build spells in the game, and beat all the bosses in 2 hits. What did you learn? That you can play just like Lobos, just like Chase the Bruv, just like Prod, just like whoever you've been watching make that build. I mean, you just watch a movie, and like, we all enjoyed Space Jam. We used to watch it on repeat because we only had Space Jam, Aladdin, Lion King, and a handful of Disney movies in the box. And we wanted to watch Space Jam all day today because we was in the mood to play basketball. We just got out of a basketball game. We immersed ourselves in the activity of basketball. Space Jam was on repeat all day. That was living in the 90s, kids. VHS. Find one, keep it. It's a national treasure. And I mean that. You as an American citizen, you gotta look back into this history of yours. The 90s was a wild time. The expansion of technology during that time. What we was receiving in the 90s, you know, it was only the finished products of, you know, prototypes years in the making. Once they figured out the computer, it was a wrap. Like, you had pioneers who were funded by people who had the money to not put into anything else but investment, saying this computer thing is going to turn into something. People with ideas who said, I can compute, because compute, the word compute had a definition. I can compute the processes that I need for my textiles, for my factory. I don't have to hire an accountant, or I don't have to hire a person to count inventory to make sure that each of these textiles are getting through and being stamped. This machine is going to pick up on this and stamp it and count it for me, and then leave the receipt of each stamp. And then somebody turned that concept of calculating a number, or a calculator, into a game. How many times can I make this counter go up before I win? 3, 4, you know. But we had this game in the 60s. We didn't have the art for it, but we had this in the 60s. Now it was spread across multiple different games because we only had 8 megabytes to work with at a time, especially in the consumer level. But we had this for a long time, which is why you shouldn't settle for anything less than better than this. But innovation is what led to the greater purpose. Case in point, memes. Marketers use memes to connect with a greater audience without even talking to them, which is why there's this level of disconnect. What do you guys want? Because you guys are memeing about this like you actually want it, and you're still paying for it. You don't want that. Help these developers figure out what you really want by showing some restraint. Enjoy the things you enjoy, but don't overindulge. I play Warframe because it's free, and because it's a great game. It's destiny times 10 to me. I sometimes spend real life money on it just out of support, but I'm not buying platinum every month. I don't have to pay a subscription, so why do that? You can actually make platinum in the game just by hustling. And the cool part is once you get the game, platinum is there so they know somebody's gonna buy it. They're gonna put something that's cool on there that you can appreciate. And I can appreciate, fine artwork. But, the level boosting stuff and stuff like that, it's only really pay to win if you're playing their game. Somebody spends all their money on level boost and stuff, and they're in the front lines by themselves. Did they really just pay to win? Or did you help them win? Take control of your gameplay. There shouldn't be new games coming out every 6 months. New builds, new patches, new expansions and stuff. You should really still be stuck on Warlords of Draenor. If I'm gonna be perfectly honest. The war should have came to Azeroth. The story should have continued. There should have been a reason to go back. And then we should have been fighting in the Shadowlands with the rest of existence. Because the thing about, timescapes and all that stuff works is you're supposedly living in the best possible... I forgot to have a amount. You're supposed to be living in the best possible existence, and that's what consciousness is. So be grateful. Because it could be worse. The fact that we saw the Machnathal and the native orc clans as nature intended means that nature still intended in the curse was lifted, even though some of us are still green. But what we have here is a lack of continuity. Why? Because of time and money. You can, use your greater imagination and draw parallels, but then when they release canon that directly contradicts you, you end up looking stupid to people that you were trying to be creative with. You cussed out on the internet. It's alright though. Enjoy yourself. Get cussed out. Shake it off. And be a higher individual. Wise man, nothing at all. The point is to really go back and forth with this person. And maybe it's not. Maybe the back and forth is meaningful, but you have to keep your composure. There's been a lot of times where I've changed minds in an argument with somebody, or calmed somebody the heck down, because even though I was, kind of taking a jab at them, I remained calm in the situation and almost feigned ignorance. Like, oh, I didn't know that they was doing all that. And it was like, yeah, no, they was tripping. Now they're not mad at me no more. Let's see if I can take this guy. I'm definitely gonna die. He said, nah, don't do it, bruv. Thanks. I don't really kill horses anymore. He's sick, man. Poor guy. But, like, you can really kind of change the tone of a situation in Baldur's Gate just with your tone. Still be mad at somebody, but don't be a madman. Be upset. You deserve to be upset no matter what. But don't cloud your judgment in your thinking, because upset feeling is a natural reaction to the world around you. To hold that in is like holding in a fire. You're just gonna explode. You can't do that, man. You gotta take it easy. When you take it easy on yourself... Oh, dude. I'm doing too much. Where is my toolbar? Oh. Listen. When you take it easy on yourself, you buff yourself. You give yourself more stats. Give yourself a blessing of kings every single morning. A 10% stat boost in all aspects. And that even means the stats that you are lacking in. And what that is like an expertise boost. You give yourself the chance to do things that you are not necessarily talented at. I wasn't born able to draw. Okay, but babies can't even hold pencils. So what you're saying doesn't even make sense. It was a spark of inspiration that got you on the path of drawing, and it was the mindset that got you thinking like an artist. Period. You all can draw. I appreciate artwork from all facets, but it really only hurts me in the end because I'm super critical of my own art still, to the point where I don't recognize how good my own stuff is. People constantly tell me, this is great, you know, and they're genuinely impressed, but I can't really gauge it. Like, are you being serious, or like, is this just more praise from my mom? You know, that's what it all kind of feels like at this point. Yeah, my mom, you know, everything is beautiful with my mom, so I can't even help that. But when it all feels like praises from my mom, it's hard to gauge. Believe in yourself first. Be your own mom. And give yourself a hug and tell yourself that it's alright, even if the eye is lopsided and it doesn't look the same. That just means you gotta work on it. You know, but be proud of yourself for working on it. The fact that you can look at a lopsided eye means that you attempted it, and each attempt is a +1. Even if it looks worse than the last, there's something that looks better that you're not seeing. And what that is the stroke of your pen. Yeah, it's down to the subtle nuance of how you're moving your arm and your wrist and your hand when you actually go to draw. I'm gonna post these drawing tutorial videos when I get them on polish and first out and stuff. The audio and video quality and stuff, my face not on here, that's not how I want to do the art tutorials. I want to definitely get connected to the students. But I'll talk about this. The direction that you move your hand, your arm, your wrist, even in my music lessons when I teach drumming. You have to relax, first of all. When you create tension, you isolate that part of your body from your heart. So you create its own rhythm. And that can serve you or hurt you. It's all within purpose and scope. But try just like clenching your fist as hard as you can, you know, for 5 seconds. You can wear yourself out. You think you can operate under those conditions? You think you're supposed to? You know, but if you relax, that hand becomes a lot more useful. Now, if you create tension at the point of impact or at the point of action, you maximize that potential. That's your full strength. You use carry that aspect into every action, and you will see the desired results. First things first is relax. You don't always go from 0 to 100. Sometimes you only need to go from 0 to 13. And you skipping all the way to 30, and you wondering, oh, am I doing enough? Am I doing too much? You thinking throttle it is going to get you the answer. Yeah, you broke through, but now you can't get back. You strip the bolt. Start off small. This is the art lesson. Anybody that's listening, if you're drawing something, draw with a light hand. Air bending strokes. Because the thing is, you always correct a lighter line with a thicker line. You can even ignore that lighter line and draw a new image over it. And it's going to be a lot easier to erase. And you can erase it completely. Learn how to do that before you learn how to draw anything. Learn how to write your name and erase it completely on your paper. Do that 20 times in the same spot. And if you don't see it after 20 times, you're ready. You're ready for lesson 1. I'm serious. Even when I'm drawing myself, when I remember to take it easy and relax my hands and draw lightly, I find that my designs are a lot more creative because I have a lot more room to grow. But also that my hand and my art and the whole cohesive design all together, a lot more steady, a lot more secure, a lot more confident. Because the mistakes that you make are not permanent. And yeah, digital artwork, even on pen and paper, yeah. It all applies, trust me. You can fix this. Ooh, I hate doing that. I do that in World of Warcraft all the time too. Waste you can fix it. And sometimes little mistakes are nice little subtle nuances. Like when you're drawing a dog. Most dogs, especially domesticated dogs, have a smooth coat because their owners love and take care of them and it's better. And even if they don't, the dog is grooming themselves because they're in a position of chilling in the house. They're not looking over their shoulder, worrying about other dogs or bears or other predators or anything. And dogs of the opposite sex. See, that's a healthy dog. We're gonna have healthy babies. They live in a healthy home. You know, the natural instinct. But when you're drawing your dog on paper, it's two-dimensional. So there's something else that there needs to be. There's another dimension you need to consider when designing that dog, that character. There's the fur. You know, there's the silhouette of the dog. The flat line. How do we enhance the silhouette? Greater attributes, greater characteristics of this dog. What kind of dog is it? Is it a pit bull? It's a very fine dog. You're not going to see any fur on there. But next to Canaan dog or Siberian husky or a Malamute, you call them. Fur is all over the place. And that's when we start to touch into different types of lines. Implied lines, direct lines, different shapes of lines. Line weights. These indicate, you know, direction and form, position and hierarchy, preposition, so on and so forth. Things that you can identify with. Literally just a few strokes. And when you're working in 2D, you have to think about, at the base level, what are the two dimensions that I am using to draw this? Whether it be a line, a shape, character, a form. What are the two dimensions? Well, we have the line work. See? Please don't move. We have the line work. Silhouette. And we have, that's my controller there. We have the finer details, which is like, you know, the stuff that the lines are creating. The eyes, the little claws, the tufts of fur, the teeth, and all that stuff. And when you put this together, you have like a little clip art image. And that's kind of like, not a really good example, but I'd have a better example if I was actually drawing. Now, to add a third dimension, to make this picture not look flat, to look 3D, what do we start adding? Well, we have to think third dimensional. We don't think, okay, well, we could add color, we could add, another dog, or more flat elements. No, what elements are going to make this 3D? You have to think in the next dimension. You have to think in different words. I'll give you a second to think about it. But what besides lines and shapes could we add? Form. How do we create form? Through lighting, contrast, you know, blacks and whites, shades, not colors, shades. That's your blacks and whites, your grayscales. And that's how we create form. That's how we add the third dimension. If you want to add the fourth dimension, then that's when you use the transcendental aspects of art. Oops. I was not paying attention at all. I was talking to you guys. And by that I mean abstracts, you know, impressionists. There's another word I'm thinking. Not existential. You know what I'm talking about. The weird stuff. Surrealism. That's fourth dimension stuff. Because now I'm expecting you to know what's going on in various different things. Because you're expected to see through all of it. And then you get a great understanding of the artist. Why would he create this? Could it be that he just can't draw a human face and he got frustrated and said F it? Or is there a deeper meaning behind conceptualization of it? Where he's so close to the concept, he said, I can stop. I've done that a few times. I've done both, more than a few times. That's art. It's suffering and joy. Don't let Squibble fool you. Do not be a Squibble. Squibble thinks in one dimension. All dimensions, but only one at a time. 8 dimensions. I guess he's a squid, so it's 6. So he has 8 tentacles. So maybe 2 tentacles. But thinking in multiple dimensions at the same time is what makes you an artist, especially as a musician. Let me break it down for you. You got time, you got tone, sound, intonation, and then you're a musician. I can definitely think of 3 dimensions. I mean, we listen to other musicians too as well. External interaction, but you also have the personal aspect of it, especially when you're playing in a jazz session or a more improvisational setting, or even in the classical setting where you're on stage with a symphony or an orchestra or any kind of ensemble where you're giving a composed piece of music, like a whole score even. This artist had a definite intent in design before you play his music. If you're playing for a soundtrack, you can't be soloing on the soundtrack. You can add your little own flair and innuendo to information and maybe tremolos or the fluttering that flautists do. You know what I'm saying? But within certain parameters, you gotta do it within time. Whereas if you're playing on stage at a nightclub, you can go all night with Stevie Wonder's Living for the City, because we're living for the city right now. Living just enough, just enough. I said just enough. You see how I changed keys there? That's another dimension. Not a new dimension. We're still operating the first, second, and third, but we're changing. We're giving the audience a wave to ride. That wave has to ride. Just enough. That's not smooth. You know, we're all over the place. We're not even moving on a scale. This is why we have scale. There's parameters. We're still breaking the rules, but we're breaking rules. You think about breaking and bending things, it still exists in its broken state as it is. You haven't really you become an alchemist when you spend enough time with it, but that's the magic that we're dealing with. Yeah. So, different dimensions is something that you have to attune your body to. It's not something that you just do through art, through music, through video games. It's something that you breathe in and out. I mean that. Breathe different, speak different, walk different. Check yourself in the mirror every single morning and make sure that you do it right. On straight, your button on. Some of y'all walk out the house and your buttons are uneven. Your buttons ain't even on straight, dude. How do you expect the rest of your day to go according to plan? And you didn't even have it. And when you even plan to have your shirt on inside out. Clean your room. And don't do it today, don't do it tomorrow, don't do it next week. Do it when you're ready to change. Understand that when you feel that spark, I need to clean my room. It's gonna happen. It happens every now and then. Sometimes I feel, yeah, hop on that. Feed off of that like a vampire. Go off of it. Just don't stop. Clean your room and see what else you can do. Carpe diem. Conquer the day. Seize the day. It's up to you. Because when you wake up and go to sleep, the first and last person you deal with, Ace One, he is I and I am him. That's you. That's me. That's the only one who's in control of you really living and dying day in and day out. So why go according to anybody else's rules? Again, operating within parameters. Don't turn into freaking Michael Myers. Start killing people. Stop it 1 to 2 seconds and get it. But approach every day like not like it's your last. Like it's the first and there's so much more to explore that you can't wait for tomorrow to happen. You're gonna fit as much in today as you can. Dang. Do I have one? Is there anyone around? Anyone at all? I'll save you. By the light of the seven, I restore this poor soul to its original state, so they may once rise again into battle. The Argent Crusade comes for you, Arthur! Carry. Nah. Y'all gotta all stop losing yourselves. Well, for real, I don't care. Really, that's Dumbo Chef in the world. That is really talent. Run with it. Tie shoes, really good. Make an Instagram dedicated to tying shoes. There are people who made websites for their dogs and got rich. Why? Not because they hit the lottery and got lucky, because people peeped their passion and they effed with it. Because it made them passionate about their passion. And that's a trap that a lot of people get in. You can get passionate about somebody else's passion, but also have a passion to passion about, and you feed off each other. That person who's passionate about it needs more passion to feed off of. We gotta help each other. I try to tell my friends who are feeling depressed, I hate myself, blah blah blah, but I love my significant other. But, well, they're not getting the best of you if you're not loving yourself. There's things you could be doing to make yourself a better person, to serve that person better, if that's all you care about. Make yourself the best you can be so that your love means something. And trust, it means the world to that person, but make it mean the universe. And surprisingly, glow up and show up. And don't do it for nobody else. Don't do it out of spite or revenge. From none of your friends. Do it because you wanted to, and do it again. I mean that, bro. I seriously really hope that whoever's listening needed to hear that. You on your way. Every single day, like every single day you wake up, you're making progress towards that end goal, which is always that final boss and those end credits with that beautiful song that says you did it. Save the world. You're the hero of your own story. Ain't nobody save the world before. Think about it. All this could be fake. I could not even exist. I could be a voice that's literally just telling you that you're the only person in existence. And I am here to help you fight the only other being in existence. The big baddie of that. Some mystical thing is going to happen. Alien's going to come down after the election and abduct you and give you superpowers, and you're going to rise to the top and save the world. You don't know. That could happen. But that could all hinge on you believing in yourself and just doing like 5 push-ups. Or believing that you can get taller and go to the NBA because you want to. It's something you want to do. Don't let anybody take that from you. Your failures, your scars are your own. You earn those. Those falls, those fails. Those are seeds of attempt. Don't let anybody take a failure role. That's the experience gain. That's why I like Wingskin. Every strike is experience gain. Not anymore, but that feeling made the progression from 92 to 99 feel a lot faster. I don't have a 99. Halfway to 99. So you get the gist of how much of a grind that game is. I'm just running around killing stuff because I'm talking to you guys, but I should really get back to busting. I don't even know where I'm going. Oh, I got you. Hold fast! I'm coming! I tried, man. I really did. He fought valiantly. But his inexperience led to his defeat. What noble soul will fall near death? And not do everything he could to save another. Could I yet be saved? Right at the feet of my ally. That was so dramatic. That was like the fun experience that I'm talking about. That was a quest that I failed. A mini quest. Save a fallen adventurer from the gang of bandits. Failure. Oh. Did you have fun? No. I had 11 potions. I was in the wrong bag. Okay, now that's just a fail. Like, you can't learn nothing from that. But, you know, except what I just learned. Contradicting myself. Again, see? I did that for you guys. On stream. Message. What did you learn today? You have multiple bags to tap into. And don't drink your potions! It literally says potion. Message. Read. If RuneScape taught me anything, it's right-click examine. Right-click examine life. I really don't want to go back to the city for any reason. I really just kind of... Ooh, the arcade university. I really kind of rather just be beating stuff up. Let me run back in here real quick. I like how the mount is kind of on autopilot almost, or cruise control more so. It's moving on its own like it's alive, and you kind of steer it instead of possess it. I also heard that mounts have unique traits and abilities in this game. Or maybe I'm thinking of a different game. Is that Revelation Online where mounts can jump and fly and do special stuff like... They were characters, and not just pawns that your characters sit on. And I mean that with all due respect, because it is a lot of work. You know, like, we crap on a lot of developers because a lot of us are frustrated with what we feel has become the accepted norm and status quo, and we feel it's unacceptable. It's a good feeling, but again, remain in the scope and perspective.
Be vigilant.
Of how you should be operating within the social context and economic context. Spend your money wisely. If you see a studio that's trying to do something that you support, but they're pulling that Kickstarter kick, do some checks and balances and proper vetting before you put any money in. First of all, I'm not paying for dreams. If we're doing a Kickstarter, I need an alpha. I need something sandbox, something I can test on, something that if it falls through, I can, you know, mod it, make a private server, do something. Most people aren't willing to do that, but they're willing to put the money. Again, compromise. You have agreements and stuff that, of course, people who don't say nothing about that don't follow. So discourages a lot of developers from making certain moves. And a lot of times I think certain development campaigns fail because they run into legal problems. There could be a lot of corrupt businesses with a lot of patents and copyrights and stuff registered that you don't know about, and they're making business off of unsuspecting businesses that gather a lot of money and operate under a name and haven't done the proper legal work. Now they're sued for all that money that they earned under that name, because that person can basically say the only reason you earned all that money is because people thought she was me, and they have the money to beat you. But it's a dangerous game you're playing with this money shit. If you want to make a game to have fun and play, then there's going to be very little standing in your way of that. But if you want to make a game so you can make money and make millions and be the next Blizzard, there's a way to go about it. The high road and the low road. The middle road is almost like a stasis. It's almost like you have to make a choice. It's like the cash shop has really permeated every aspect of, I'll say, AAA, for lack of a better word, or luxury, for lack of a word, gaming. Name brand, top of the line, has to be expected and desired by the masses because its quality is, spoken for itself in the past. So it should continue to speak for itself in the future, right? Yeah. Nike makes a good shoe. Yeah. But I've seen what EA's been doing. I'm not gonna say they make bad games, because people are still playing them. What defines a bad game? But there's certain things that people are doing for business that you have to take into account as a gamer too. This has come full circle back to why I both love and hate this game. I mean, I can't say it's for the same reason that everyone else does, because the cash out really doesn't affect me. I'm never going to open it. It's never going to be a problem to me. But what we have here is a very good sandbox or skeleton from somebody who could take this and make a private server and gut it and turn it into a game. I think if an Asian developer wanted to make anything, he could make that. A Skyrim. Something for indie developers over here to redevelop for free. You know what they're going to do? They're going to take that private server and repackage it and sell it anyway. But, the private server still stands as it does. And you might get shut down by a big business. So, lesson learned, right? But the modding community for Skyrim is so talented, they could have made Elder Scrolls 6 on their own. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Elder Scrolls 8 has been out. But what we have here, again, is interdependency. Is this the right way? Is this name brand? Are we doing this right? Should I like this? Do you like it? That's all that matters. Even none of all the stuff I said doesn't really matter if you don't really care. Now, if you care and you're asking questions and you're wondering like where some of this confusing stuff is coming from, you gotta dig deeper and you gotta actually care more. But if you chilling, Fortnite is your thing, don't let nobody take that from you. Period. This game so far, I'm having a good time. It's not great. All things considered, I'm just saying, it's not great. But having picked this game up for the first time in the year 2004, I would have thought this is the greatest game ever made. Go ahead and wrap it up for you guys. Next episode, I'm probably gonna play my wizard, because I'm not sure if I like this class too much. There's just not enough I guess freedom of motion for me to actually want to use a sword play character. I can only dodge one at a time, maybe twice, so I may as well just stay out of melee range. But I'm gonna get to this point on the mage, because at first leveling zone sets the story really nice, but it's dreadful. That being said, like, subscribe. I got that from a dude named Sir Q's on YouTube. He does wave tutorials with his hair. Yeah. Look up Sir Q's. SirCuise. It might be Cruz. It might be Q's. Amazing wave artist. Check him out. And check me out on YouTube. I play a whole bunch of stuff. Elder Scrolls Online, Phantasy Star Online 2, NBA 2K, anything my friends are playing. I'm going to get some homies on here on Bless Unleashed. We're going to get some people for Final Fantasy. Maybe. That game kind of feels like this one. But, of course, it's Final Fantasy, so the budget is going to make sure it's a lot more fleshed out. Black Desert, I tried that on PC. I stream games from PC, too. I had a lot of fun with Outward, but my PC setup really isn't one made for streaming. You know, I can't really make that happen for you guys. So, we'll get to work on it eventually. It's coming. Stay tuned for more. Just rant, talks, and chill sessions. If y'all cool with this, I'll make it more of a topic. But if y'all would rather see me play the game, it ain't nothing special. Maybe my Warframe gameplay. That's pretty cool. Alright. You can go on to it. I'm getting ready to close!